comes down to just speaking to a human. Like you say, it is across the board
Yep.
because I'm such a believer in this. At the very least, you're just going to gather some extra intel. Do you ever wonder how much money you could save on your regular bills if you just put a little bit of time into it? Like the modern day version of finding change down the back of the couch, you might be surprised by how much it adds up to. Frank Conway, founder of moneywiz.org, joins me today to talk through the savings that are just a phone call away. Frank, you are very welcome to Money Talks.
Thank you.
So we're going to get into 7 simple enough phone calls that could lead to more money in your bank account as early as next month. The first one, and that is health insurance benefit in kind. This is one that a lot of people, it escapes the attention of a lot of people, even though their employer is paying their health insurance for them.
Yeah, and this one trips a lot of people up because they assume because the employer is paying for it that there's no allowance there for claiming back on tax. And so here's what happens. In most cases, the employer will pay the full amount. Now, there are some cases where the employer may pay partial amounts. So that's where they may want to make a phone call back to the employer's HR department or wherever. But what happens is they make the wrong assumption that the employer takes all the benefit there, claiming any kind of tax relief that's around that. But the employee, the beneficiary, is also entitled to claim back, because if you buy health insurance tomorrow morning on your own, you get 20% discount on that. It's tax relief at source. Most people assume the employer is paying it, I'm not entitled to it. So here's what happens. The government allows you, because it increases an income tax on you because of the BIK, it allows you then to go back and claim on the value of the premium up to €1,000. Now, if the premium is being split, you pay part of it and the employer pays part of it. It's whatever the employer is paying, because you'll be getting the tax relief at source in that case. Very simple maths on this one is, if there's a BIK showing up on the payslip, which there generally is, that's your first trigger that there's something going on. You're being taxed because of the value of the premium. Second issue then is go back to the employer, say, am I qualified for benefit in kind claim back, the 20%? The answer is almost overwhelmingly yes. Then you go back to revenue after you make that phone call back to the HR department or whoever, and then you make the claim through the My Account on revenue. And that is fairly intuitive in terms of somebody going into the My Account, working through the statement of liability and making the claim. And the good news, you can go back over 4 years to get the claim back on that. So it could be up to €200 per year, or maybe max of €800 on that one.
Okay, wow. So a quick phone call to your payroll department, your HR department, and then just jump on to revenue.
That's it. Yeah, and it's fairly straightforward, but the biggest issue for most people is just the confusion around whether they are entitled to it or not. And most people, even people who work in consultancies where they may work in numbers and accounts all day long, and even people who work in accounts departments may sometimes get that one wrong. It's just a little bit confusing because they assume that they're not entitled to it, whereas actually they are.
Mm-hmm. The next one is call your mortgage lender or broker. So this is about mortgage switching, which we're hearing an awful lot more about. But really, how easy is it?
Relatively straightforward. Now, what I would say to most people is the phone call is going to be back to the provider, the mortgage lender, for example. So, but in many cases, here's what happens. In some cases, people have had older mortgages and they have legacy rates. Now, you can go into the Competition Consumer Protection Commission, that's the National Competition Authority, look at their money tools, see what best rates are in the market today. That will give you an indication what's out there. But most mortgages are coming in around maybe 3.5%. If you're paying 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, I saw a case not too long ago, it's almost 6%. In that case, the person would automatically have qualified. But what had happened over the years was that they were in negative equity on the property. Property prices have gone up quite a lot over the last 8, 9, 10 years. Now they're in positive equity. They would qualify for a better rate. So if it's with one of the main pillar banks, what I would encourage them to do is make that call back. If they're paying 5.5%, that would not be common, but it is there. And I saw a case maybe 4 or 5 months ago where that happened. They made the phone call back to the provider, and the provider reduced it down from maybe 5.6% down to 3.8%. Quite a big saving there. So
that's a particularly easy way to go about it, because I think people think there's going to be, I have to get a legal involved, I have to go off and get my deeds and all the rest of it. But it could be that simple.
It can be that simple. Now, in one case I'd seen where the lender was a bit more kind of stubborn, and the individual then went back to another lender, got a much better rate, and then the lender moved in that case, but they still didn't have to draw down on the mortgage. But what they had done is they had gotten approval in principle from another lender, and then their existing lender came down, didn't quite match what the competing lender was offering. They were just about maybe 25 basis points over that, maybe 1/4%, but they still moved about 1.5% on the rate. So sometimes you have to do a little bit of homework as well. More often than not, you can make the phone call.
Number three, Frank, is call your energy supplier to try and get a discount.
Yeah, and that's a big one. And I would say that would be across the board for most providers that are out there. And if you've been with an energy provider for the last 5 or 6 years, you haven't done anything because sometimes people just don't. They don't get the time. They don't go into the comparison websites, for example. I would say make a call back to them and ask them what their best rate in the market is. And very often they'll get a sense that you're looking at the market, that you're looking at better rates. They know that you're probably on a higher tariff, for example, and more often than not, they'll move on that one. And I've done that myself over the years. So first port of call is go back. Now, if they're not the most competitive in the market, but they're pretty close to that, that's job done in those cases. And you're going to be saving quite a bit of money in those cases as well. But maybe do that maybe every 18 months. You don't have to do it all the time. It's not quite every year. But I would say to somebody, also maybe go into the comparison sites as well. And there's a couple of them out there. I would maybe have a little bit of homework lined up, see what you're getting. And then if it's pretty close to what the competing best prices are in the market, that provider is going to move on that one because they know you're looking.
What's the best saving you've ever got?
The best saving I ever got was certainly with phone service.
Okay.
I still keep a landline, so it's for different reasons, and they slashed that quite a bit. There's other stuff I've done as well, like which is kind of beyond what we're talking about today, but it was on website services where I was looking at maybe a charge of maybe €2,000. This is only 2 weeks ago, and they reduced it to zero. That was just on certain hosting services. So this is kind of across the board. But you have to go back and say, do I need that much capacity? Do I need that much service, for example? And this was just a hosting service for something else with MoneyWiz.
Yes.
And they just cut everything, So that was a case where I probably was paying a little bit over the odds, but they also know that the market's changing as well.
Yeah. It just comes down to just speaking to a human. Like you say, it is across the board
Yep.
because I'm such a believer in this. At the very least, you're just going to gather some extra intel
Yep.
that you didn't have before.
Yeah, and a lot of it is really just doing a little bit of homework and perhaps just using some of the very good tools that are out there. There are very good comparison tools that are out there, and I made an extra point in what we're going to talk about today, but it was on waste collection.
Yes.
We are pretty good at recycling in our household. We had noticed something on the account, for example, and in that case, they knocked about €120 off the annual service charge because we weren't using the lift charges. And the way they work is very often it's the annual service charge and it is also the lift charges. So it depends. So very often, just have a little bit of homework done. Be prepared, then make the call. And very often, when you're ready to go on it, don't go in kind of not knowing, but just have your numbers lined up.
Yes. Number four is call your home and car insurance provider before renewal.
Yeah, so what I typically do is I go about it two ways. So very often what I look at is I'll call a couple of weeks out. So normally a month before the renewal comes in, they'll send you a notice. They're required to send you a notice to say your renewal is coming up, what you want to do about it. So a couple of things I'll do. Sometimes they may not move. More cases they will. But generally, what I will also do in January, when most of these renewals come in, I kind of time them in January. I go through 6 providers. So sometimes I'll make sure, some years it works, and sometimes what will end up happening is they'll say, we'll reduce it to the most competitive rate. What they'll often do as well is they'll kind of bluff you a little bit. And so the bluffing a little bit is saying, okay, have you got your numbers lined up? So what I'll generally do is I'll have 5 or 6 different quotes. And there is a game that happens. Like sometimes the narrative is that, they'll go 3 years. On the third year, they jack up the rates. But that's not always the case. What I found in some cases is that they'll bump the rates up in year 2. You get them in year 1. They bump you up in year 2, so they won't give you almost that loyalty discount either. So, and then I found other providers where I may have left them last year and come back. They will then come back and say, we'll beat the market the rate we had just last year. So it's really a lot of cat and mouse. Sometimes the provider, the insurer, will come back. Some are better than others, and I kind of have kept a record. I'm kind of keep my notes over 20 years. And so what I found is that the cost of the premium today versus 20 years ago, and I drive kind of the same type car, is cheaper than it was 20 years ago. So really what you got to find is just different providers that may come into the market. Sometimes they'll compete. Some are very good at competing with other providers and some aren't so good. So you've got to do a little bit of cat and mouse. Call them a couple of weeks before the actual renewal dates, before you do the homework, and some will respond on that. You just have a bit of homework lined up as well. Yeah.
I feel like I'm chatting to the sensei of switching here. I feel like you have absolutely got this nailed.
Yeah. So a big thing for most cases is what I say to people is that It's really about just having a little bit of extra power, and that is having a bit of knowledge. The little bit of knowledge comes from a little bit of work, and then the phone call will help the process along the way.
Yes. Number 5, call your broadband, mobile, or TV provider and ask for the loyalty or retention rate.
Yeah, and I do this again. I kind of referred this a little bit earlier, but generally what I will do in those cases is, again, I know what's in the market, and I'll know what my usage is, for example, like I talked about the web hosting services, for example, and then I'll go back to them, and because they know that you're looking at moving. I've done this with the telephone companies and big national ones, and I kind of hit them maybe 6 months out. And so generally what they'll say, and I put a note into my diary and it'll pop up and I'll say, no, I'm going to hold off on that. I won't do it 6 months. I'll do 2 months out. But generally they move on that pretty good, and they'll offer all sorts of incentives in terms of new phones and things like that. Not really interested in that side of it, just interested in the bare bones service that I need. And then I'll decide if I want add-ons later or not. In my case, I still keep a landline for work reasons because I need it. And in those cases, they throw it all in and the package is pretty good. So, but they will move all the time because they know what's coming down the tracks is that you're probably going to move as well. So,
Yes.
and so generally sometimes they may not move at all, which is quite rare. What I found is that they'll match the market. But again, you have to have a little bit of homework lined up. And so you're armed with that and just don't go in unarmed. But in most cases, the phone call works.
Yeah. And I think even having that vocabulary, can I speak to the retention team?
Yeah.
The retention discount, whatever,
Yep. Yeah, and that helps because it sets off a couple of red bulbs and they go flashing, and suddenly people say, okay, we have a system for this. Yeah.
Yes. Number 6 is call revenue or check your My account about unclaimed tax credits and reliefs.
Yeah, the good news is that I've just come over to a tax relief signpost so people can refer to that. There's about 44 of them out there. So very often it's, for example, if somebody changed their civil status and they hadn't updated that, that's a good phone call to revenue, because what revenue will do, and they'll give you all the time in the world, the vast majority of their reps are pretty good. So what you'll need to do is say, look, and if you change your civil status, for example, you might have changed it 2 or 3 years ago, but you haven't updated revenue. Revenue will guide you through the process and they'll update that for you. They have to verify who you are. But then they'll backtrack in terms of actually your taxes that you were paying. And if you're owed a refund on that, they'll issue that, so that would happen pretty much automatically. And then the other things like revenue, benefit in kind, which we've talked about, all the other tax reliefs that are out there in terms of what you might be not claiming, for example, I can make that tax relief signpost available so people can just refer to that. But that is very simple, straightforward stuff in terms of what people will be getting. Are you claiming back on the medical expenses that you're entitled to, for example? And the only cases where this is probably an issue is if somebody in the household is self-employed, they have to wait until the Form 11s are filed. But again, we've had mortgage interest relief. If you've got qualifying mortgage interest relief, you can get the call in with revenue. They'll walk you through the process. If you have renters relief, you can get the call in with revenue. They'll walk you through it. Work from home relief. A lot of people looked at that one and they thought, probably isn't enough money for me. But I would say to somebody, every cent counts when you're trying to build some financial resilience in the future.
Well, that's it. Sometimes 70 quid can be quite a lot of money.
Yeah, and it can be a lot more than that, So
Yeah.
in some cases you might have multiple years of medical expenses. Well, the medical expenses where people get a little bit tripped up is you may go to a consultant, they cost €200, 100 gets paid by your health insurance. There's still 100 outstanding, which is then claimable at 20%. So that is where people miss it up.
I'm glad you said that. We've touched on that before in the podcast, but definitely bears repeating. A lot of people just think once they've scanned it and sent it in to their health insurer, that's over. And the receipt almost goes into the bin then.
Yeah, and
there's still money there to eke out of it.
And people forget, if it was a once-off and it was just the work-from-home relief, I would say, yeah, there's a lot of work on that just to get that small amount of money back, even though they did multiply that quite a bit a couple of years ago from 20% to more. But I think the challenge in those cases is, there are more things that will be in there. But the starting point is revenue does have a list of all the qualifying reliefs. Flat rate expenses as well would be a big one for people in those industries. And there's a list of those on the revenue website. So again, it's really getting all those in terms of actually understanding them. And then it's having a reference point. So I can make the tax relief signpost available to you guys in terms of actually maybe having it out there so people can look at that and actually review that. But revenue probably has a total of maybe 66 or more tax reliefs. I've got 44 on my list. I've brought in the core ones, and they'd be the big ones for the vast majority of people that are out there. Refer to that and then go back to revenue and see what you might have qualified for.
And number 7, Frank, which is the final phone call that we're going to make. This is call your bank or your credit union about your personal loan or overdraft rate. This is interesting because I have to be honest, I didn't know that you could do this.
Yeah, what's happening is quite interesting in the market. So you've got the buy now, pay later options are out there. So it's becoming a much more competitive market. So sometimes lenders will have better rates for repeat customers, for example. So I put the call in to see, is there better rates out there? They may have a share account that, there's a lower interest rate on that. You can assign some deposits or shares from the credit union to the loan, the outstanding loan itself. But what's been growing, certainly over the last number of years, is people are going for 0% borrowing options. Buy now, pay later, if it's under a certain limit, it doesn't have interest. It does if it's over that limit, so you need to watch that. But that popularity has been growing quite a bit. And then the market's becoming more competitive as well. So some providers are out there saying, we will look at this for you. They may, and it depends on the credit union, it depends on the bank, for example, but some of them are willing to say, we've got other options out there, like borrowing against a share account with the credit union is much cheaper, for example. They may have a welcome back loan, for example, that you may have been with them before, you're coming back again, and you're looking at a better rate. Can you match that? In many cases, they will look at maybe moving that rate just a little bit in terms of making it a little bit lower. So there is negotiation in the market. There's also flexibility because people simply don't want to be losing business. And the market's probably gotten a little bit softer in the last year and a half. So in many cases now, what lenders are looking at is retention. Retain the customer. Don't look at bringing in new customers. If you can retain, don't lose the existing ones. Bring in new ones, but don't lose the existing ones. So, and that's where the market's moving. And again, on other debt, for example, like credit card debt, for example, you can certainly move those ones as well. That's a different process, not quite a phone call, but you can probably get a 0% interest in some of those borrowings. Credit card debt is, again, one of the most expensive debts that are out there because of the compounding nature of that. So understand the numbers, make the call, ask the question, and also maybe switch around in terms of some of the products that are available in the market, particularly revolving credit card debt.
Yes, yeah. And, I was aware you could do it with credit cards. It's the overdraft part that I find interesting. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't even know what their overdraft rate is, let alone that you could potentially get it reduced.
Yeah, and in most cases, the overdraft is kind of the lost cousin of finance because very often it's kind of put in place for a long time. And so sometimes people forget and they almost don't remember that they even have it. So I think it's kind of that area that's a little bit lost. It's a bit like revolving credit, where people say, I know I have it. I'm not sure what exactly is on the credit card. It's just convenience. And so sometimes we just forget them. Whereas term loans, you come back with a term loan and you're paying down that amount and it's fixed and that's it and you're done with it. So I would say just be familiar with the types of debts that you're up out there.
Yeah. Do you think it's fair to say that somebody could save thousands if they were to make all these phone calls?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, certainly on the BIK, on the health insurance, if that's, and this would be quite common, you're looking at 800 off the bat. On a mortgage would be a little bit rarer. You're looking at tens of thousands in those cases over a period of time. And then on the insurances and everything else, that's an ongoing. But myself and my wife were talking about somebody last night where they were paying €4,000 per year on car insurance. And I said, well, I don't understand the numbers, but obviously they know the numbers. So I would say there are wide discrepancies in terms of costs. So certainly car and home, there's a big gap out there. I know I could be paying hundreds more every year if it wasn't just going through that process. So yeah, there's thousands in the pot there in terms of savings. And that can be reallocated for an emergency fund,
Yes.
put towards a pension for an ABC, for example. So a lot more can be done with it. And it's just getting into a behavior, so in terms of money, it's difficult to make it. It's even harder to hold on to it. So you have to just fight for the extra little bit. And then once you get into a habit, what I would say to people at the beginning of every year, try to do 3 years in a row, 3 months in a row, once a year. Look at your finances 3 months in a row. Once a year, just go back over the same thing. Just get into a habit of just reviewing it and know where your touch points are. Your reference points, for example, would be Competition Consumer Protection Commission. There'll be other tools I can make available. But generally, for most people, they just don't have that mechanism and process in place.
Yes.
And very often, it's a confidence thing to say, how do I work the phone call? That's it.
Yes.